If there's nothing beautiful about your lifestyle, this is like you're doing immense harm to yourself, right? I'm not just talking about like looks, right? I'm talking about in your thinking. You will have that day where if your inner man is not meeting your outer man, and this is the marriage, right? The real internal marriage, giving birth to the self, right? To be born of yourself. If that's never happening in your life, then the external man's going to take over and just be a fat, donut eating, fat faggot that is so ugly when unbalanced. It's so man child. It's so sad to see. But it's still successful to some degree if you think about it. Like, it's still gonna, when you overdevelop your personality over your inner essence, well, let's not pretend you can't make millions of dollars doing that, right? In today's day and age, I think personality is even more important than the inner man. If we're talking economically, right? Like, how many of these action man kind of people who, like, they are the butt of the joke. They love to make fun of themselves for money, and they'll humiliate themselves time and time again. And I'm not talking about, like, a lot of people love to say, John, what do you mean by this? Isn't being a streamer or a broadcaster or whatever, like, something eventually is going to make you look like a hypocrite and stupid and humiliate you? If you're on camera, you will get humiliated. I'm not talking about that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, there there's a lot of people who it's a weekly basis that they humiliate themselves. Like, it's almost like a self-hatred, but they don't hate their true deeper, well, not true. Let's just say their deeper inner self. They just attack their own personality, and they do humiliation ritual after humiliation ritual after humiliation ritual, and their personalities are overdeveloped and shadowy and kind of weird. Like, you ever tune into a YouTuber 10 years later, and all of them evolve for better or for worse. Every human's evolving all the time, but it's always for the worse. I've never tuned into a YouTuber 10 years later and I said, oh, they have just as much life in their eyes. They have the same amount of life energy, and they're totally individuating correctly. And no, it's always worse. And so when I look at the world, I go, hold on, how come no one ever speaks about this? We live in a world where every successful YouTuber we want to be like in 10 years is a sadder version of themselves. Something's really fucking weird here. Something's really sad here. And what's the difference from this and how we used to live in medieval times? And the only difference would be that in 10 years, you'd see a deeper mastery of whatever skill they're trying to perfect. And nowadays, I feel like I only have Nick as a good example. And I don't know how good of an example Nick is, but I know he'll be better at his craft at 50 years old than now, because that's how Nick thinks. He thinks of it like a video game that he has to level up. I hope he does, at least, right? It's like a lot of people are convinced when Zherka takes a break from the internet that he's not that his maniacal, crazy self working his ass off. No, I don't let go of my rhythm. I work my ass off. I just will never be that human that gets fucking ugly inwardly, overdeveloping personality without the inner man. You guys are going to be doing a physical job every day of your life that is offsetting your karmas. It's like never ends. Or you can do a good job and not get ruled by it, right? So you go to higher levels of consciousness within this lifetime, right? That's the whole goal. If you could learn every trade you want on earth and your consciousness stays the same. Yeah, you can be a skillful idiot in the spiritual world. Like, a good example would be a machine man who's good at his job and is dead inside. You know what a machine man is? a routine man, something that I can easily go towards. It's my nature to love grinding. I love the grind until you say it never ends. Yeah, that those Wall Street guys that get uglier and fatter and weirder, and then they start becoming gay and start having orgies, and dude, they're millions of dollars up, and it never ends. That's why I say, guys, you can be very successful in life and turn all the waters in your mind, but once those waters start turning, you might be stuck forever. And that's an ocean that should frighten you. And don't act like the mind can't snap and break, and you enter into some kind of psychotic episode. Don't act like that can't happen. So as much as, yo, Zherka's the guy who got me into hard work and fixing my life and all that self-development shit, I've always balanced that message with do not become a machine. I mean, yes, you're going to be a machine in work effort and super efforts and fixing your life, but don't ever be moping when you're fixing your life. If you're ever dragging feet with my lessons, holy shit, are you doing everything wrong? You're doing more wrong than someone who doesn't follow me, doesn't know who I am. Yeah. And that trajectory, a lot of people don't realize you can choose to go the right way in life. And with all that effort that you put in going, let's say, north, you just turn around and start going south without knowing it. And this happens to a lot of people. We're talking about what happens when you're entering into a successful world, right? The state is changing, your karmas are shifting. What happens when your karmas are transforming? You're going upwards. A lot of times you get lost. It's literally illusion with every breath. And nobody teaches this side of the red pill hard work part of reality. Now, I'm not the kind of guy that, a lot of guys have told me, Zherka, can you make $20 million and then get back to me on that advice? And I'm like, that would work. In the world of shadows, this world, I'm not saying it's all Maya, it's not all illusion, it's just half. You're not seeing everything, right? All I'm saying is that does work, right? Like Andrew Tate's idea was if I karmically link myself to 80 million Pakistani men, which is the most horrifying karma you could have, right? Like sex trade karma. if I, He's like, if I karmically link myself to 80 million Pakistani souls, or however many views him and his girls got, then I'll have $25 million, the nice cars, and then I can help people. Yo, what the fuck? Do you see what I'm saying? That is so tempting. That is so like Zherka. You just go into porn. You don't have to be in porn, but you can manage these OnlyFans bitches, make them giggle and laugh. Once you're karmically linked to 80 million suffering Pakistanis, that means I have to live 80 million Pakistani sufferings in my own way, right? It's not like, oh, I'm just gonna go through it once. It's very tragic, actually. It's horrific. It's like everyone has godlike powers with the way they can shift the world karma, but you don't. If you shift someone else's for them while they're in a trance state, they're asleep. This could be a very, very different kind of lesson. And when you look at any spiritual tradition, the lessons have always been a very long time. We're talking about like some bad people can go through thousands of years. And I don't mean to scare and terrify anyone, but I do mean to transform that thing inside of you that says, I will give them good advice when I have $25 million. It's like, yeah, but you're in debt already. You're in 1,000 years more debt of pain than the guy next to you who didn't make the 25 million. Now, it's a very different if you invented a hinge on a door that made you $25 million. That's a very different karmic situation, right? And usually you can tell the karmic situation you're in when you do when your subtle energy body, your inner body does, you feel a shock, kind of like a vibration, a shock of, fuck, this guy's addicted to the porn website that I have, or the OnlyFans, right? That shame, that feeling of shock and shame is making the imprint right there, that you're stuck in that space and time now. You're literally stuck in space and time. Even when time marches forward, you're going to have the same impulses to be stuck in that hole again and again and again. And it's like, whoa, I wish I could learn about God again, because I don't want to learn about karma. We're doing it to ourselves. And it's like, whoa, I wish I could blame God again. I miss thinking like the average modern religious guy. This is kind of terrifying. And yeah, that is terrifying, that man can always push off his lesson for later. I'll learn that lesson later. I'll learn that lesson later. I'm going to get more people trapped into dense materialism. I'm going to get more Pakistanis addicted to my website. Well, Zherka, where have you been for 2 years? Like, what the fuck, man? Don't you want to keep what? What? Getting deeper in the mud with everyone else on Earth? No, I don't. I haven't, ever since I was 24 years old, I knew I'm going to be in and out. Everyone knew that. I said that many times. And people are like, you're only saying that the greed is going to bring you back, and the this and the that. And it's like, now what, bitch? You're a little bitch for actually being convinced that I, of all people, don't want to increase consciousness on Earth. No, dude, I'm not Tristan and his worried little fucking face. Have you ever seen him worrying and he doesn't know why he's worrying? He just has those big eyes like he's afraid of something afterlife, right? Or Andrew Tate gotta always keep himself busy. Yeah, just like you gotta always keep you can't even sit in the quiet anymore. You're that deep in samsara. You're just fucking with your life, and you got to just stay busy. Just gotta stay busy. Gotta keep my mind busy. I'm not afraid of anything. Just gotta stay busy. And it's like, dude, I'm telling you, after a television and a car, money isn't buying you much anymore, bro. Like, I'm telling you straight up. There's this faggot. I don't know his name, but he was on the Tyson Kids channel. And he's part of this high ticket wave of guys who just want to make money to make money. How many, we all have this one friend that just wants to make money to make money. And they're like the most soulless friend we have. Not that they're doing anything unethical, right? They're just, going to work in their heads, right? It's not like they're evil. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they're dead inside. Like, everyone does feel that. Like, you always know someone dead inside when they always have the new iPhone and they're smiling at it. They always have a new electronic and they're really pleased by material objects. And then you got to ask yourself, oh, what happens when this 21-year-old is 31 years old? Do you really think a new iPhone is gonna excite that same soul? You go to Walmart and you'll see that the older people get, the more they got this grouch, sour face towards everything they're buying, even if they have the money to buy it. And they're sinking deeper, deeper into materialism. Same with, you see this with fitness guys who love fitness. They love it, and the greatest. It is a spiritual thing. I do agree with that. But then they get depressed. Like, there should be more to life than just doing fucking push-ups. Then you see this with the money channel guys. These are I've always maintained, like, there's these guys who buy their likes on Twitter. It's not noticeable at all. It looks really genuine. But I found out recently that there's a lot of sales guys who are close to me. People are like, "Yo, Zherka, you're gonna like this guy," and I'll never check them out because their background is in sales. And I'm like, bro, you think I would ever click on a channel where their upbringing was sales? Like the channels I clicked on, their upbringings were the first channel I ever watched on YouTube was the Hodgkins, and their upbringing was actually suffering. They're just talking about everything they went through in life and their sufferings. They never spoke about their shit sales job unless it was like they're trying to get ahead at the job and all everything they had problems with their desire world and their impulses and all that, right? So it's super informative. But then there are massive YouTube channels that are on the algorithm that it's a guy who is a who's very good at sales, and I think you should be good at sales. I just don't think your soul should be sales. There's guys who they're just their whole soul is just sales, right? And you always see these guys start saying, "I'm a good person because of this," and it's about integrity, and I always want my client to be to get what they want. They always try and it's weird when you talk to hypnotic state, low consciousness people. Like, let's say everyone who watches Speed, right? Speed's great. He's at a higher level of threshold consciousness than his viewers. His viewers are automatic. They would probably, call you a witch and burn you alive in another time period. But yeah, that's how you should see it. That it's like when people are in a trance state, hypnotic, low levels of consciousness, right? Very, very, like almost like animals. These people, you can literally look them in the eye and say, I believe in integrity. That's why you should subscribe to my channel. And they go, wow, this guy is awesome. And that's how it works, right? We have spent a lot of time on Twitch laughing at people like this. I don't want to say names, but when eventually they get exposed, like, was it Freud? I don't like Freud, but he had that good quote, and it lines up with Jung too. It's uh, the more good a person is on the outside, the more things they're hiding on the inside. That's true, but also you got to remember a lot of good people on the outside are just good people, right? You can't just write people off like that. But it seems like 9 times out of 10, the guys trying to look like good guys all the time are the worst pieces of shit ever. And it always takes like a couple years for their channel to be like hyper leaked. And I'm not trying to say this to like instill in your head that you should fucking write mean comments and attack and karmically link yourself to these people when they get exposed. Like, I'm put on earth to remind you to be skillful with your suffering, right? I'm put on earth to remind you, hey man, these adults with beards that sound masculine are putting you in a feminine position where you're going to rape yourself over and over and over again in constant dark dream states. This is the most feminine thing you can do, is rape yourself in this world. There are, since ancient times, adepts and I would say great souls that remind people you want to morally progress. That means you haven't morally progressed in a couple of years. If it's hitting you hard right now, you haven't done anything in a couple of years. Doesn't mean like anything happened to you. It just means those couple of years are going to echo throughout time and they're going to reverberate and they're going to come back to you in years of you feeling very alone. That's how the matrix works, right? There's an illusion that you're getting away with your shit, right? And you have gone away with some things, but you learned, your consciousness went up, and that's it. But for the most part, I would say for the meat and potatoes of your life, you don't learn your lessons. Andrew Tate's not going to tell you this. Sneeko's not going to. No one, anyone, even guys who want to say, just be a good person, they're not instilling that fire in young men. Just be a good person. Because they always have this thing in the back of their head saying, but this guy's not a good person and he's winning. It's like, no, no, let's look at how the matrix works. Karma it's not like some fucking retard on Twitter said there's no such thing as good karma. Are you retarded? What do you think talents are? Okay? Talents, you do good on that last shadow world, that last dream, that last lifetime. and your talents come stronger in this one. And that's usually an ego inflation challenge, because then you get trapped in this one, right? You want to keep going up layers of consciousness nonstop. Even if you incarnate as a king, you want to do that. So a lot of kings have had serious problems. And you're always going to want to forget. You're always going to want, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do a gambling deal? Well, you're asking if you should do a gambling deal, meaning you have guilt. You're wondering, is this worth it, right? And I want you to learn that lesson badly. I want you to even be hurt learning that lesson so it never happens again. You know what I mean? But if you're at a level of consciousness where you're at the level of the person you're listening to, which can happen, there are conscientious channels, like, for example, Joe Rogan's audience, as stupid as they are, they're not as dumb as like Kai's audience, right? There's different layers to consciousness, correct? And it's usually, you can see that with, I hate admitting this, but patience, and that for me, I haven't watched Joe Rogan in 12 years because I don't have the patience. And I'm that kind of guy that if it's anything somewhat superficial, which means the Joe Rogan podcast, any topic on Joe Rogan, even spiritual topics, are, I call it spiritual materialism. It's like not, it's, what is that? 99% of YouTube is spirituality based on lies. Like people just making shit up, changing what words mean. And right, there should be one lesson. It should be fucking illegal to deceive people this hard, like the stoned ape theory and all that. Like, yeah, it's cool, but what if someone actually believes that for 7 years? I think at 5 years old, every child should be taught, hey, just like in ancient times, what you reap, you sow, your debts are your own. You have the free will to do whatever the fuck you want. You can stomp on someone else's toes. You can do whatever the fuck you want. It's not free. It'll come back to bite you when you forgot about it. And it's going to come back to bite you when you learn your lesson the best from it, meaning the most pain. And you don't want to go this whole world thinking, yo, some people intuitively just navigate better. Because they're at a higher, it's not that they're talking about this with me, it's that they're at a higher level of consciousness. They've been hit hard, they learned their lessons, they moved on. But don't think you can't be trapped in a vicious cycle of lessons, in a godless cycle of lessons. Like, holy shit. When we're looking at it from just the human aspect, from this side out, you can be very knee deep stuck. For example, everyone's convinced Andrew Tate and that porn website, he got away with it. You don't know how convinced you are of this because you've never thought about, did he get away with it? I had to bring it up into your consciousness, meaning you've probably fucked up really hard this year because you don't have the consciousness of, am I doing something wrong? And by wrong, I mean when you believe you're doing something wrong against yourself, that's like a divine word, the self. That's very scary, right? There should be boogeymen in your head, not boogeyman of, oh, I don't have 10 cars. That's a false boogeyman. The real boogeyman is, am I progressing towards spirit or not? Right? And it should scare you that, like, hey, wait a minute. If I didn't listen to that Twitter space, I would have gone 80 years of my life thinking Andrew Tate got away with that. Inwardly, how would you structure yourself? What would you get away with for 80 more years? How much baggage? And let's ask the real question, how much baggage do you have in this lifetime? Where even when things are going good, it still feels like you're carrying a lot. How much baggage do you have in this lifetime because you thought that bald faggot had something for you? And dude, I'm telling you right now, it's terrifying that someone can give you good advice and ruin your life at the same time. I wish we lived in a world where someone either gives you good or bad advice and you figure it out later. But there's a lot of people who give really good advice and still you suffer with that idea they implanted in your head for thousands of years. And you're like, whoa. And here's the worst part of this, the instinct, the instinct you'll have when you come into consciousness that you've been duped is not to progress forward like a master. Your instinct is going to be to get back at Andrew Tate, to write mean comments, to meaning you're still going to be locked. You're making an imprint in your soul of hatred. Now that is infinite trapped, infinitely trapped, where you have to get back at him because he robbed you of 1,000 years, 1,000 different dreams. So go get back at him. Yeah, you've gotten back at so many people in your life. How's that work for you? You know what I mean? Like a lot of you guys don't realize the greatest lesson, not to give, I'm not giving no hippie answer here. I'm saying the greatest lesson in vengeance is 9 times out of 10. Why don't you feel better when you get vengeance on someone? 9 times out of 10, you actually don't feel better. Now, there are times where they'll get what's coming to them and you'll laugh, as in like, wow, that was the skill of non-action. I let karma just handle itself, and that was funny. That's a little different. That's not that much hatred, but we'll go a little deeper. What if they keep getting bad karma? Are you ever going to feel bad for them? You're going to go to Walmart and start looking around and realizing, Gypsy Crusader and Andrew Tate, and how come none of them are doing anything for the world? Like, how come these people are not doing anything for the world? And it's because they're not doing anything for themselves, dude. Could you imagine going from brothel to brothel? There was like this old clip of Andrew Tate saying, when he's old, and this when he was broke or like had less money, I guess, way less money. He said he's just gonna go get hand jobs by old women at massage parlors in Thailand to get over his desires when he's an older guy. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'll be with a beautiful woman, but I don't remember ever going to a massage parlor. I'll be around hoes, but I don't remember ever being hooked, addicted, needing to do a business with them. Oh, shit. Oh, that can happen. Like a human being can be very sunken down by their lower nature. Everyone DMs and messages me, "Sir, can I get away from them hoes?" And I'm like, why is everyone so scared? Oh, because you can become like a bald dude who says, let's go to a fucking massage parlor with. Massage parlor sounds like they're a 1 out of 10. Like some ugly woman is touching your cock. And I was convinced this is just comedy for so long until, you when you start growing up, you realize some of the closest people that you were convinced would never do something like that have tried a massage parlor out of curiosity. And you start to go, whoa, what the fuck? But they're not even around hoes. I'm the one around hoes. And then you start realizing, oh, this is why the internet makes such a big deal about Zerk, I don't stay around these hoes. Because the guys texting that are addicted to going to massage parlors, porn websites, all of this kind of stuff. And they'll write messages like, Zerk, I just have higher libido and testosterone than you. I'm like, maybe that's true, but are you suffering, my dude? Are you? Because let me tell you this: if you can't walk in the world and talk to a beautiful blonde woman at the airport and get her snap and get cozy with her and meet up with her and touch on her and enjoy her and fuck her and then go home, if you can't do that without being hooked and addicted to her pussy, what kind of soul experience are you going to go through in this world? You're getting hooked and addicted to something that can never fucking fully satisfy you. That is fucking terrifying. You're getting hooked and addicted to something you cannot fulfill on earth. And there's no angel coming to save you. There's no you do you think like a ray of light is going to shine down and save you, or do you have to overcome this yourself? My dude, Andrew Tate's lust-filled porn websites, Gypsy Crusader convincing you guys you can call someone a nigger 1,000 times a day on Omegle with no wife and kids at 55 years old. Everyone is portraying like horrific living standards. It's either with hookers and massage parlors and OnlyFans girls or dead, broken alone with makeup on your face. Makeup. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. These are the role models? Like, in Egyptian times, this would be very illegal, right? You can't make the automatic trans state masses into mini versions of bigger, richer losers, right? When we look at like a rich inner life in a person, why I've been saying the same thing for so many years, and I feel like, it's like falling on deaf ears, but you guys are gonna play sports and have a girlfriend. How about that? How about being normal? Like you're gonna play sports, you're gonna read, you're gonna have a girlfriend. It's not gonna be that rock star where you go to a massage parlor as this is like end game of being a millionaire. You if you ever want to look at your karmas, look in the mirror. Look what you're working towards. That's a cosmic joke. That's a hint. That's something like, hey, let's keep yourself in the middle. Let's keep yourself breathing good, nasally. Let's keep yourself healthy. And remember, a lot of people are like, well, Zherka, you're not the healthiest guy in the world. Yeah, but I go on courage missions, right? I go on courage crusades to structure my subtle energy body to be like a knight. Because remember, you could be the best person on earth. If you don't build courage, you've built a deep shadow. So don't ever complain and say, hey, Zherka, the way you went about it, this was wrong. Well, at least I'm structuring my body. At least I'm structuring my soul. A lot of you guys are super nice guys, but very deeply automatic in trance states all the time, entertainment states. And you guys have a problem with how someone does their Pokemon adventure of karmas in the world. It's like, dude, you shouldn't have a problem with the way I do it. You should be conscious to the fact that at 24 years old, I knew I was going to do it, right? I didn't shy away from the adventure. I don't shy away from the dragon. But you guys scrolling and doom scrolling and watching, this guy made me laugh. This guy made me laugh. This guy made me laugh. Your mom and dad aren't going to tell you you're a fucking faggot. The Chad that you went to school with isn't going to tell you because you don't even respect that guy anymore, right? The Chad that got all the girls, well, those girls are ugly compared to this guy. This is the new Chad. And the new Chad is addicted to massage parlors for thousands of years. This is a fucking farce. This is a joke. This was never a thing. When Jordan Peterson said this guy is a pimp, well, Jordan Peterson, you're crying all the time. So it's kind of hard to follow you as well. I'm at an age where, look, I don't have to care that much. I don't have to do these calls, these wake up to life calls. But who you're watching, you're becoming. That's why when you guys are like, Zherka, can you do a React stream? It's been 2 years. It's like, no, I will not react. I'm not going to watch something and become like it. That's fucking wild. I'm not going to do a React. Come on. Are you guys crazy? A lot of these entertainment channels we watch, get them to do a call like this and say, hey, speak from your heart. Go ahead. What knowledge do you have for us? The monkey will start jumping around. He won't know what to do. He'll say, I can't entertain them. Well, this one time I asked the girl to suck my cock. That's terrifying. That's like you don't have soul experience on earth. Without the experience, how are you even going to transform your karmas? How are you going to go upward? And watching someone else's experience, and I don't even know if that's experience staying in a room on Monkey TV. How much experience is that? That's like, I remember people are like, oh, you only gave us a couple of those. And it's like, you want a grown man with hair in his ass, hair in his fucking ears and nose. You want a grown man to stay on Monkey all day with you. Okay. What happens when I turn it off? What happens one day I move on? You're going to be like, oh, I don't have anything to watch. And oh, wow. No one told me this, but no matter how spiritual I am, it always feels like my path is alone. And a lot of people message me saying that's the torment of life, Zherka, is that no matter how you slice it, this initiation of life and death is done alone. And I'm like, no, that's not the torment of life. That's the best part of life. What are you talking about? If it was any other way, like a group of us holding the boulder up, trying to get up the hill of individuation, don't think I would respect that at all. I think it's going to be a lot more badass when I see you guys on the other side and see who made it and who watched Paul Miller, who watched. I, I, just name anyone that's I have a huge irritation with, and a lot of my Jungian chatters, they say, Zherka, you said you have an irritation with this guy, therefore uh, you're leaking about yourself. And I'm like, yeah, I have an irritation with the dude who promotes a gambling sponsorship for 2 hours or whatever the fuck Tucker Carlson did on that episode with Nick on his podcast. Like when some grown man is doing that commercial thing, where they're just promoting their commercial it's like, yo, this is the fourth commercial you've done, and it's one of those commercials that's like sponsorship commercials, very long ones. And you can always skip them, obviously, just press the button and stuff. But if you're a real man, don't skip and look, just stare right in their eyes and look how dead they are. Look how dead they are behind the eyes as they do their little commercial. And so, whatever, if I had a podcast, I would have commercials too, and I would try and sponsor and make it professional and reach as many people as possible. But yeah, when I look at a lot of these people, it's like there's a commercialization of their life happening there. I'm not even talking about the money. I'm talking about there's this mainstream thing that happens to people when they're winners in life that they never notice they're still automatic. They're still in trance states, just with money this time. And no one ever talks about consciousness. It's always about knowledge. It's always about reading. It's always about this, that, this. But no one ever talks about, like, wait a minute. I'm getting good at living you're getting good at living a life that you hate. That's kind of strange. You're getting professional. And, when you're good at something, you want to keep doing it. But you're getting professional at doing something you hate. Like, every human hates to hate. As much as they love to hate, eventually it takes a toll on you. And I got messages from people saying, no, you're just jealous of Gypsy Crusader. And I'm like, dude, that's a soul on Earth in a dark room on Monkey TV for low amounts of dollars, much lower than anyone else you could think of, right? In my opinion, you do that kind of content, you should get paid a lot of money. And even that, offsetting karma is not the most skillful thing you can do with your time. But it's almost like if he doesn't do it, does he have a following? It's like, oh, fuck. And that is tricky, right? Like I could get a couple bitches in this room and get a bunch more viewers. I could easily do that. And for years, they're telling me to do that. And I'm like, no, right? At some point, there's like, you're 31 years old. You know what I mean? You're not going to dance to the tune of, I'm late for this level of success. I'm late. You're not always late, dude. If you ever feel like you're always late to success, you're a fucking loser. Okay? Sometimes you're early. Sometimes like I did everything I want to do with my life by the age of 28 before international recognition. So I got so many fucking guys who were like, "Yo, you'd like this channel, Zherka," and they get so many views, but only on their channel, which is botted, and nobody knows who they are. And I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, if you've been grinding at something for a long time and nothing's happening, how about we get some moral progression going forward? Before, how about you can keep spinning your tires and whatever. Like, here's the worst case scenario. What if you spin your tires so hard, grind, 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 and eventually it bursts? Everything starts happening for you. That's totally, intensity is great. That's great. That happened for me. That happens for a lot of people. But what happens if inwardly you become structured very ugly doing this? And when you structure yourself like this, in the future, these problems you'll have to deal with because you structured it already. And when these problems hit you, you're going to be twice as bitter, and then four times as bitter, and then so on until you realize, well, the world of reflections is, it could almost haunt you to the point that you're paralyzed. You just want to be a good person because you're afraid to fuck up. But that doesn't work either. You got to face your things head on. You got to transform your karmas, not run away from them. And so we look at inwardly being a great person. What does that mean? And it's like, I don't know what it means. Great. Some people say Donald Trump is great. Some people say Gypsy Crusader is great. Some people say Nick Fuentes is great. But you put three faces, all three of these faces, right, just in your mind's eye, and ask yourself, do these people have serious karmas that they're working through, that they're not perfect? And these are your idols, let's say, right? These are the Twitter idols. I don't know. I don't know why I'm putting Gypsy with Trump. Like, this is fucking wild. But it's fair because all three of them, just like all humans on Earth, are working through serious problems and karmas and you know uh, ups and downs. And if you don't know what I mean by this, is like a man went to kill Nick Fuentes last year. So I predicted on Twitter. I said, Nick survived, and this karma is going to transform into the most success you'll ever see. Right? And it's not directly related to that because they buried that story, but the karma is directly related to it. So when I said this, all these guys messaged me, "How did you know that he would?" Because everyone said, "How you can Nick cannot be mainstream because of this, the Hitler, the Cookie Monster, the Israel, the." And I said, "You don't know how the law of karma works. It's a balancing of the scales. Okay." I'm telling you, that's how it works. That's how you can predict someone's success. Is you ever see a dude stabbed up on the street with a knife? Chances are he's going to be a Hollywood star very soon after that. You can't force these things, but they equal out. This is how like that psychic energy works. That's why a lot of Hollywood guys get accused of sacrifice. There are some who've done that, but most of them no. It's a balancing of the scales. And the more you walk around the world and you start noticing this stuff, the more you're gonna have this betrayal feeling of what? So Andrew Tate misled me and this guy misled me and I hate everyone for misleading me now that I got that Zherka truth, like I only love Zherka. And dude, you're fucking your life up doing that. Seriously. When you make a man into your like savior, you're fucking yourself up hard doing that shit. I could be in a bad mood and, I could fuck your day up too. Anyone could fuck your day up. You have to start looking at the world like, wait a minute. If he's right about these scales balancing out these karmas, and if he's taught his first year of international recognition, he focuses on getting everyone to Jesus as his first gate. His second was individuation and Jung. This is identically as identical as it is to on paper my long-term game plan. These look like opposites. Individuation with Jung is like very different from a Christian message, right? Because it's more on the self, whereas Christianity is more upwards, right? So it's almost like a symbol and then the self, and now you're getting the full lesson of what are you doing with your symbols? What are you doing with these creations, these karmas? How are you offsetting what you've already got going on? How are you fucking up? How are you winning? Are you just 70% positive? Are there people in your life that are navigating like professionals? Do they have a bitter look on their face? Do they have an angry look on their face? Are they usually smiling? What do the winners look like? And how come the winners don't have that much money? That's something no one talks about. How come some of the best winners in the spiritual world are not rich? They might have a wife, they might have some kids, but they're never that rich. But their inner life is rich and they look great, they look happy, they look awesome. Now, I don't want to tell a young guy this because I believe everyone can tap into money karma. This is a very easy one to tap into. Hard work and don't get in your own way. Everyone can tap into this, except some really dirty people who just can't let go of that psychic energy of failure. Their I am is a total failure. They believe that, their God is failure. Some of those guys, they're in for the long road, right? They're taking up their life like it's a tragedy. And then when it releases, they're like, whoa, it's actually a lot easier without the bitterness. Huh. A lot of these guys stop watching Andrew Tate because it's like, this guy's keeping me bitter. I mean, I don't know why I keep using Andrew Tate as an example. I don't think he's a good bitter example. I think Andrew Tate doesn't make someone bitter, but there are some channels that you're used to seeing in your feed that make you bitter. I don't think Tate is one of them, right? I just think he's gay. But there's a lot of through the doom scroll. I can't think of any names because I don't do it that much. I'm an adult. But if I was your age, I know you guys are getting, stuck down there. And you're going to see an emotional swing, right? You're going to see an emotional swing. And you're going to start finding your guys and realizing, okay, this person that I watch seriously structures my energy body incorrectly. Like it just seriously, this one keeps me in a trance state. This one, this one, this one. And this is the great cleaning up process that I talk about. That it's almost like you'll feel like you're becoming an adult, which means like a boring person, really. Because you start skipping a lot of things on your phone. So when you're at your time wasting time of the day, not your concentrated practice, not at work, you have to have work. But in that between phase where you're going into a dreamy like state, yeah, I'm telling you, the deleting process is like a liberation process. If you don't know what I mean, start with your closet. Get rid of everything in your closet you don't wear, you don't use. Limit yourself down to as little clothes as possible, as little furniture as possible. The more you delete in your life, the more you're going to be like, whoa, these are weird attachments I have. A lot of you guys have things from like 10 years ago that should be good. The more clutter you have in your head, the more clutter you'll see in your space. I'm not saying my room doesn't get messy. I'm just saying I think I've lost maybe $60,000 total over the course of a few years of just throwing away shit or giving it away to other people or giving to the homeless drive or whatever. Yeah, that's like a part of my 1 week ritual as I grab a bunch of shit and I don't let things accumulate. And that reminds me that my mind has gunk. My mind's got to get meditated. My mind's got to get right because my parents won't tell me to do that. Girlfriend won't tell me to do that. No one in my life will tell me to do that. She will suck, my girl will suck my dick and not tell me to get my mind right for the world. And it's like, wait a minute, there's dragons in the world, and I'm like this melting little bitch. I'm like putty. I nutted and I'm just like, what are we doing on earth again? And it's like, dude, your parents, your girlfriend, everyone close to you, none of them are gonna tell you how to live your life because they're too frantic and scared with their own fucking problems, their own karmas. You don't want to sink down into, well, I've got a new mentor, this YouTube channel I watch, and this. When you're breaking down your day of how much of your day is entertainment, how much is going towards mastery of something, and a lot of people kept DMing me about Mastery of what? What should I master? You are in the ocean with your sailboat and you don't have a compass, my dude. That is where your soul is at right now. You can be scared or you could be standing like me. So when you're working towards mastery, I guarantee you for years it won't pay you shit. For a lot of people, it'll even isolate you, which is not the best thing in the world if you're fragile, right? But that's where you'll get forged like a fucking diamond body. And a lot of you will get so bitter from that forging that now you're a man, but you have you noticed how the more masculine you get, the more don't talk to me. I remember that a lot of people think because I say this wise shit that I don't have these problems. I'm actually talking about my problems, you fucking idiot. I'm talking right now. This is exactly my lifelong problem of such a soft, nice little gamer boy into such a hardened shell of like just fire inside of me just wants to burn people if they talk too loud. And it's almost autistic. It's like, is the person down the hall talking at a moderate volume right now when I'm supposed to be concentrated? And I'm not like you that gets ticked off. I get angry to the point where I'm surprised it hasn't happened, but there has been, let's just say I'm good at getting away from this, but there has been moments where I'll give people a I will stab you look. And these are just innocent people in the hallway and they stop being loud. Yeah. Bro, when I'm getting fat, was I was having 1,000 cigarettes and just living the ultimate party life and shit, my inner world would turn that I used to be this hyper athletic dude and now I'm pretty much going to podcast and meet bitches. What the fuck is this? Is not me. What the hell happened? Went from benching 3 plates for reps. We were doing fucking crazy shit, and then the money starts coming in, and you're like, whoa, why lift that weight when you can, hang around this section and man, there's something that dies inside with you when you start making good money. There's something that is just the greatest thing you could do is just be religious, more religious than to your religion, to your workout, man. Stay fit. So what if you make the money? Like nothing changes. You're just in a nice apartment and it gets lonely, it gets quiet, it gets weird. You don't even feel this magnetic force around. You don't have this magnetic thing that you used to have when you were a track athlete in college, and you don't have that anymore. So the chicks in your apartment are just kind of looking at you like, what the fuck? And they're there for the money, but really some funny dude can take them because they still want to laugh and they want their cake and eat it too in this incarnation. Like women want what men want. It's kind of the same shit. They want to have the Chad with the apartment, but also go run to the other Chad just in case. Because women have this death drive. They're terrified of missing out on the incarnation. They think they're never going to be born again. They don't have afterlife thoughts. They don't have none of that. So they have this insane death drive, just like men, by the way. Um, huge death drive of I want to have a boyfriend and be able to go to a club with my friends. And that's not actually to cheat. As much as red pill guys like to say, "Oh, she's doing it to cheat," that's the byproduct. Yeah, that does happen a lot, but that's not the reason. The reason is freedom. She actually just wants to be free with her friends. It turns into nasty shit after, but the original reason is freedom. That's why in the strongest marriages, the wife is allowed to go where the fuck she wants, but she's also hyper loyal. You've seen these marriages before, right? Now, that doesn't mean that you become like these dudes with no boundaries. Like, so a lot of guys hear that and they go, wait, what? And it's like, yeah, you read Jung. The strongest marriages are you have license to cheat on me, I have license to cheat on you, and that's it. You do whatever the fuck you want, I do whatever the fuck I want, but neither actually goes to other people because they're bonded. But they have license, as in, like, hey, without that freedom aspect, let's just say you're building a nasty shadow on your girl, like a nasty shadow. where she has impulses of cheating because you forbid it. You know, most men get pissed when I say this, but a lot of times the chick that left you, you actually left her before she ever left you, and you were just too afraid to admit it, right? You got distracted, you went somewhere else, you did this, you did that, and then you buried it and pretended that didn't happen. But a lot of guys do this, you know, a lot of high value dudes will, you know, it's like they start the cheating and then they forget about it and then they get mad when she does it. And it's like, yeah, they're just, you know, that's how souls move. This is just where we're at in evolution. Don't ever think that we're stuck to instinctual blood ties like in the good old days, right? Marriage ties and cultural ties and all that. You know, we're deep into the individuation process. Unless you are someone, you know, that's a fan, that's like in the crowds, then you are a part of the group consciousness, which is a dangerous place to be in. That's a very, you know, you think you fit in being a little Jake Paul or a sports ball fan, or you watch sports all the time, so you're a part of something. And then life goes by and you realize, oh shit, I don't actually have anyone I can trust. I don't have anyone close to me. Nothing makes sense in reality because no one wants to be close to a human that is not individuated. It's, you know, even people who hate me want to be close to me. Think about that, right? If you see a human start standing out on their own away from the crowd, dude, it's not that, oh, the nail that sticks out gets hammered. Yeah, that's true. But also, everyone wants to be around that nail. If even if you get fucking gingivitis from that nail, you want to be around it. And it works the same way for men and women. And it's like, you got to remember that the trials we go through, there's water trials, there's fire trials. You're going to lose someone you love. There's real trials on Earth evolution. You better be braced for all of these way before you start thinking about kids and family and all that. I'll say it, all the gay shit. Dude, there's nothing tribal about you. There's no leadership energy about you, and you think that family's gonna solve anything for you. If anything, you're gonna be these fucking fat faggot Walmart dads with stains on their shirts that are going through a divorce, and then they become that weird Facebook guy. There's nothing celebrity about you. And by celebrity, I mean standing out. I don't mean fame. I mean, like, you can see celebrities on the street who have no fame. They just stand out. One in 100 people, there are people who individuate further and they have this magnetic aura on public. You should start people watching. Go to very dense populated places and start looking at the world. For once in your life, don't just have picture consciousness images in your head when you're in public. No, tune into the moment and start opening your eyes and looking and seeing who is the individuated. They're very rare. And who are the ones that are semi individuated, but they're still part of this group kind of consciousness. These guys are usually clinking beers, being faggots, and all that. And then there's just the group consciousness. They're the wallflowers. They never talk. They're just they are the wall. In my experience, if you've got women, money, and meditate in a deep state to the point where, you know, you're not just a yapping head like Sneaker or all these fucking faggots, you are him. In your world, you are him. In the external, people love you. If you've got this kind of gravitational pull, I think this is a beautiful sweet spot, but it's missing something. It's missing the momentum of where am I going to maximize what I'm doing for others? Because you don't receive grace until you do work for other people. Yeah, you don't. Protestants lie all the time that deeds don't exist. Protestants lie so much. Protestants don't realize that by them saying deeds don't exist, Floyd Mayweather, who is an atheist, or like he's not a religious guy at all, look at how great his life is. Floyd Mayweather is the definition of a winner by every single metric. I don't care if you don't like him. We look at winners here. And Floyd stuck on to the faith of that mental picture he had of being champion, being a winner, being undefeated, all that, right? Just being like a tiger is being, a lion is being. A lot of you guys have nice Lamborghini Huracans and always a fast heart rate, always anxious. And 7, 8, 10 years can pass and you will be freaking the fuck out that you wasted your best years not knowing how to be. And most humans learn being around the age 55, which in my opinion, that's way too late. Oh, that is way too fucking late. That's when you stop giving a fuck at that age. That is, you went through that many 7-year cycles just to learn being. No, man, there are people who will get it at 25 years old. They will understand being. For example, you go to the movie theaters with your buddies. There'll always be one buddy that's always constantly checking his phone, and he's not in the realm of being. He doesn't realize he's inside of a movie theater. He doesn't. He's just kind of drifting along and waiting for some emotional scene in the movie. Probably waste 2 hours in the movie theater for an emotional scene. It's like you can piss away your whole life like that. That's an unconscious state. And I repeat this because the art of being in life is more important than success. It's more important than anything you do in life. This level of awareness should not come when it's too late because you'll always have this feeling of, man, if I was just more conscious at 25 years old, I went to the movie theater with my friends and we went to this party and I don't remember any of it. Not even the sober parts, not even when we weren't even drinking. You were a part of the world like a drifting picture. And again, if you don't develop being, like just think of a tiger. A tiger is, it just is. If you don't develop this, you're going to notice on dates with women that you're really scattered, extremely scattered. And here's the most terrifying thing. This is traumatizing, and it's happened to everyone. Freaks out when I say this, but you can't even go inside and enjoy it because your mind is scattered. It's not pointed. There's nothing you can enjoy there. You can enjoy it the next day, but the next day is gone. You guys are not together. Something happened, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, not only do you have all of this stuff to take care of in your life, but if you do not practice being as you're doing all this stuff, there is no point in having the Lamborghini Huracan. There is, for example, here's the greatest example. You guys with the Lambo Huracan, leave your phone at home when you take your car for a drive. It is insane how much fun it is. It is wild. The idea that you unplugged from that beep, beep, that beeping sound, it is awesome. You actually look at the steering wheel, you get to feel everything of that machine again, and you go, oh, damn, there's this awareness that's missing when you get text messages. I'm telling you this for your walk. You buy grocery stores, whatever you're doing has to have a level of awareness that humbles you, right? That's why you have to do these chores every day of your life. You're not doing them just because, do you really think God made it so you have to get groceries done and do all this mini stuff and every little thing? It's all to build up patience, right? That hey, before you get the kingdom, you're going to learn serious patience so you don't fuck over someone else's kingdom. Because nobody wants to be just excluded in their own world. They want the worlds to mix, to maximize. Like all the heavens have to maximize on earth. Everyone has to maximize each other's heavens. And it's like, I'm talking to myself really. I've always had this thing where I have modes. I have modes in my life, or what you guys call phases and stuff. And I'm telling you right now, everything in your past eventually comes back into rhythm with who you are, and it gets integrated. It fits somewhere in your life. All the past skill sets you've learned, every little hobby that disappeared, they all come back to the front. Nothing gets left behind, and this requires serious awareness, which is something in the West they don't teach. The West, when you think of the West, you're thinking of like an Andrew Tate brain. There's money, 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 money. But if you looked at how many minutes Tate was actually conscious, you would freak the fuck out that there's no point in having that kind of money if, 9 years can just fly by like that, right? You should be practicing both. There is no point in having a good life if you're in a dream. If you are in a drifting dream all the time, dream state, and that could happen even if you're a high functioning person, right? Just look at the Western brain, Andrew Tate brain. These brains cannot stop. They're actually very relatable. Western brains are the most relatable, but they torture themselves the most. There is no point in living life like that, right? A lot of people like, this is my turn on mode and then my turn off mode. When I'm decelerating, I get in the sauna and everything's decelerating. Then I go to bed and it's like, okay, you have an on mode and an off mode when you're about to go to bed. But are you in a dream, my dude? Are you stuck co-creating in a dream state? Because if you are, and I've noticed successful people are in deep dream states as well as the poor, and it hurts more in a weird way. Because the poor guy can buy his little nachos and stay in his disgusting dark dream for fucking 30 years of his life till he freaks out. But the rich dude with the Lamborghini, they sit down in front of me and look at me like deer in headlights. Like, well, what do you mean by that? I'm like, that's when we're talking about spirituality, we're not talking about fucking prayers and all this kind of stuff. We are talking about awareness, something the West is has severely been missing. Like the last mind to balance his mind fully was Carl Gustav Jung, and he applied the Eastern practices, right? I'm not saying like Eastern practices of like all that stupid shit you see on Twitter. I'm saying like it doesn't matter what you practice. You don't measure it by how many hours a day you do a certain practice, how many minutes. You don't, the qualitative side, you don't even measure that. You measure by awareness throughout the day that are you in a drifting dream state? Is it a good dream? Right? Are you making a shit ton of money in this dream? Okay, well, still you're not enjoying it because you're still in a fucking dream, you dumb motherfucking idiot. If your brain is not, if your mind is not balanced aggressively, you could be like these comedians, these Dave Chappelle's, who he's got all the money in the world. No one on earth wants to trade lives with Dave Chappelle, and you don't know why. You don't know why, but no one on earth wants that incarnation. I'm telling you. If you had the choice between maximizing whatever the fuck you got going on or taking on whatever he's got left, nobody wants to be that whatever the fuck that is. I'm not talking about just being out of shape. I'm talking about being out of shape in the mind, right? Look at people who are genuinely awake behind the eyes, you know? And they have moments. Then they go back to sleep when something bad happens. You see people. That's the charm of humanity. Is you see these people, and you go, "Oh, look, he's having moments of being awake. He's above that threshold of consciousness that no one in society ever talks about." And you have to keep talking about it every 5 fucking minutes because you keep going back to sleep. And for thousands of years, people would measure spirituality on how awake you are. Meaning, what is the point of being a rich dude that's just jumping from dream to dream, drifting in between? You know, there will be moments in your life where you can't even avoid it. You will go into a drift. But a lot of you guys don't realize that, hey, man, this is a scary world where winners and losers are not holding on to their own experiences. It's almost worse for the rich dudes if you think about it. Imagine pissing away a good rich life. 30 years goes by and you go, oh, damn, I have to, like Zherka's telling me, I have to unlearn everything. And it's a constant process of unlearning because you've already built yourself up. You're already successful. And, you know, at this level of awareness, you will get to enjoy success. I mean, I'm telling you right now, there's a quality to life that every human's missing, and it requires serious introspection. I mean, it requires it. You almost have to be that guy in the movie theater with your friends. They go get popcorn. Maybe you go to the bathroom and you go, wait a minute. I'm touching the tiles of the floor of the movie theater. Just can't stop thinking about what I have to do tomorrow. And it's like, dude, forget tomorrow. Forget this movie. Forget. You are not human right now. There is nothing you can do about it either. You can keep drifting into this whatever the fuck. This is once in the blue moon, you go to the movie theater and you're not even in the theater. You are drifting somewhere in your mind again and again, like someone's drugged you, like you're tranquilized. And for a lot of you guys, it happens on dates or around the girl you like, and you're like, whoa, this is violent work. I've had guys who 2 years of dating a girl, they go, yeah, I don't really, it was a blur. And I go, yo, you wasted 200,000 fucking dollars with that bitch in a blur. Well, I got some pictures on my Snap story, so it's like, what? You didn't even get to experience any of that relationship? Well, I was worried that I would lose her. I was focusing on my business. I was doing. It's like, dude, whether you're rich or poor, it seems like you guys both have the same materialism problem where you're living in a future life that's never coming. And if it does come, it's going to rape your mind. It's going to be so bad for you. Things, you don't ever forget how things can not only just go bad, they can go very bad, very fast, in a violent way, nonstop. And you'll always come back to the idea of, whoa, years went by and I was not even there. I don't even want to go back to enjoy it. I just want to be aware. Oh, I don't have control over my own mind. There's people who have been studying this stuff since 16 years old, and then there's you. Your whole fucking life drifted by, and it was awesome, but you cannot remember it. You were not even there. You don't even want to remember it as much as you wanted to just even experience it in the moment. You weren't even there in the moment, let alone in the memory. And a lot of people don't realize you don't have to believe in the stuff I say, but when I see a beautiful chick, I don't hesitate. I go up, talk to her at the supermarket because I'm never going to be Zherka again. When this incarnation's done, it's done. Now I'm going to be building up what Zherka was bringing into a bigger form over my incarnations as I'm evolving, just like you guys. Everyone's building something. But the idea, the personality, the masks we wear, the skins, the suits, dude, you're never going to be yourself ever again. You don't want to piss away that character. And as soon as you realize this objective consciousness, that you can be the observer, you can notice that you are in this suit for, well, until it's fully exhausted, really, until you're fully sick of it. But you can piss away many, many decades of your life. And you'll always wonder, you'll be like, that I know I'll get it all back in memory eventually, but that playable character I had, that skin I had as Zherka, should have been way less on the internet and way more in his world. Because, dude, this is a dark thing to realize, but if you love the character you're playing, but you're not playing the character, you're too busy being a fucking YouTuber or whatever, what the hell are you? There's deeper layers to your being that you can go to. And I'm not even talking about the practices that I preach. I'm talking about you're going to notice there's maybe a certain friend in your group, or there's certain people you're around, a coworker, who are much more conscious than you. And a lot of you guys say, I don't have that guy in my life. There's no one I can really point to. That's horrifying, by the way. You're around some fucking freak shows. um, but yeah, how are you going to soothe it? You're going to soothe it with alcohol, with being a little fucking faggot, with, drinking your problems away and going deeper into the drift, deeper into the dream. And then good things can happen because you're drunk, right? There's always a chance that could happen, but you're not in control, just like when you gamble. And you're going to start realizing, oh shit, man, these podcasters really fucked me over. The world fucked me over because there's no one. What is the neuroscientist going to tell you to stop worrying? They're scientists. They worry all day. They don't stop worrying, actually. And it's a tragic thing that it's like the successful people are in a dream just as much as the poor. Then you will start to envy a poor guy who's not in a dream, who's conscious. And they're playing their part perfectly. There is nothing more you'll envy in this world than a man playing their fucking part. I don't care if it's a janitor, I don't care if it's whatever it is, they're maximizing their part in the great play. Everyone's being actors in this world. That guy's playing his part fully. Everyone loves that. When they see it, it glows. And I'm telling you right now, dude, life is so fucking short for the character you're playing. Life is extremely long for the amount of characters and skins you're going to play as. And you're going to build them how you want. Each one's going to be unique to you. But man, to piss away this one that you're currently at, there's nothing more beautiful than realizing this skin you're playing as is going to go away. Right? There is kind of, it's not like we know the soul is immortal. We know you'll always be playing a character. But the beautiful part is when this one's done, it is done. And it's not coming back. And that is the most beautiful thing about God's system. That as immortal as you are, there is still this feeling of, I will never be this character again in my life. And I'll always refer to him, even thousands of years from now. I'll be someone else saying in front of a bunch of people, I was Zherka in that incarnation in 2025. And people will be like, damn, you were that guy. What the fuck? That guy, there's archives of his shit. That guy was the fucking shit. That's how you run an incarnation perfectly. Like that guy, there's no stone unturned in his life. Matter of fact, there's no regrets. My only regret was being overly ambitious to the point where you will make trades in your life, where serious money will come with serious dream states and drifts and periods of your life that have to be traded for that. That's kind of like that overly ambitious part of your life has to be traded off. And it's a good trade. Most people will do that trade, but it stings too when you look back at it because there's something so amazing. You turn on Animal Planet, you look at a fucking tiger. It is a tiger. It is not JW thinking about the future every second. It is not Trump always planning 10 months ahead. No, a tiger is a fucking tiger. A tiger is either mating, eating, stalking, swimming, but it is a tiger. Every second it honors. There's nothing more spiritual than animals. That's why shamanistic visions always involve these archetypal animals. It's in the Bible too, right? Ezekiel's vision. But man, the tiger is just deeply itself. It knows itself, right? And it's sculpted by life energy that is peeling off away from the glowing orb of life. So it's luciferic. It's like fallen light. It's peeling off now. It's not sustaining itself with spirituality. It's the tigers are dying out. one by one, but it's so beautiful. Everything on earth that's dying is beautiful. God has made the system the highest level of meaning and artwork that even snails, as they're evolving, they'll never be these snails again. So you are actually holding something so rare when you hold up you just grab a ladybug off the sky, right? A ladybug pulls up into your car and you look at it and you go, they will never look like that again in history. Never again. Cars will never look like the way they look like right now, which, you can make a case for the 50s having much cooler classics and all that. But I'm talking about right now. Music will never sound as individuated as, well, it's going to change. It's going to go much deeper. But you can even see the ego consciousness rise in certain suffering people. Like, I am everything you say. What is the Eminem song, right? Where he's actually talking about the I am. He's coming into consciousness from all that suffering. His fans are not fully conscious. They're not individuated, but he is. And they aspire to be like him. Some people don't like Eminem, but you're supposed to keep up with the music that is the latest. You're supposed to keep up with pop culture because you're seeing people tapping into spirit. Even if they're suffering, even no matter what, they're trying to tap into it. And then it always ends up falling away from light. It always turns luciferic and temptatious. It always turns to cold and calculative. But in the beginning, in the initial I am, oh, it's boiling, it's ever flowing with spirit in the beginning. And then, the ego inflates and everyone fails the trial there, which is sad because music's never, it's in a sad state too. The last great artist we had was Kanye with all the great music he produced. But after that, it just seems like music's in a rapid decline. Um, the consciousness getting lower and lower with music. But there's a beautiful thing about everything in existence that it'll never be here again like that. Sure, in the future, people will be inspired maybe by 2025, maybe some shitty artists too, right? We always look into history and try and revamp it for the today, like make it retroactive. But man, look outside in the world. Trees and vegetation look different during Jesus's time than now. And your next incarnation will be in 500 fucking years. So a lot of things will change. But the history books, and people will get into history of the 1200s, or maybe for me it's 1200s, right? But for what I remember from my last. But some people get into Roman history, some people get into Greek history, you can go any part of history, right? And you can find genuine people who are genuinely interested, or some people obsessed, some people historians, and there will be historians one day talking about 2025 culture, which right now it looks pathetic, but there will be someone 50 to 100 years from now obsessed with everything 2025, obsessed with the iPads, obsessed with, even go further back into the nanos, the Walkmans, all of that. But there will be someone obsessed with this period in history that we call hyper individualized history, which is kind of sad because that means the clothing disappears. It fades away from tradition, right? Clothing's supposed to show tradition and group soul consciousness, but now it's more individualized. Same with the music. It's more me, 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 I am, right? And it's supposed to go like that. Everyone on earth is becoming a king, slowly but surely. But man, you look in the world, the vegetation, the nature, the cars, the ladybugs, the animals, the tigers, they will never look like that or be like that. They'll be in evolved higher forms later. But just as artwork, everything is slipping through man's fingers and he doesn't realize he's worrying about the future. It's like, dude, you're in an art project of hyper meaning. By the time you come to my level of consciousness to really enjoy the world, really enjoy the snow, really enjoy Christmas, really enjoy boring moments, like a tiger is never bored. A tiger just is in nature. and you're so disconnected from this, and it's all leaving you at a rapid pace, and you don't realize that the people you look up to, like Kanye, they're always worried too. The guys you look up to are always anxious and worried. The winners are the most anxious, which is pathetic. The Andrew Tate, dude, there's nothing anxious about a tiger. We have to learn from our spiritual counterparts in the animal kingdom. We have forgotten how to be instinctual in the correct way, where it transforms eventually over time into intuition. It raises itself, but all we know is how to suppress now. Just suppress everything until every kid it turns to a homo. You got every repressed kid into a homo now. Everything is mismatched and stuff, and it's interesting because in esoteric lessons, you'll realize that why homos are even on Earth is to generate more empathy. That, some people have fucked up these incarnations. Doesn't matter. They're gonna have thousands of incarnations more until the Great Divide, right? Year 3000 with the Antichrist. Then you have to pick a side. By the way, then it gets really dark. If you structured your soul in a dark way, gets really dark from you, and then you'll be disgusted by the light, by the way. So it's not like we want to abandon you guys. It's that you guys will not take our hands, as humans are slowly becoming angels, and there will be people who go to the dark side, and they have many incarnations to decide, but all of these will zip by because people are stuck in their ways. They make the same mistakes over and over in different incarnations again and again. But if you don't know what I mean by this, look at people in Walmart. They're not just born lazy Mexicans, right? When the soul gets really exhausted, it chooses to get born into a Mexican family. It chooses beers and that kind of lifestyle. It chooses what it's familiar with, right? You chose there are some souls who are more melancholic and they want a more sad kind of family. There's some souls who choose to incarnate with other souls that they know, but into family systems that are hyper positive, which that's not my family. Like, we talk about positivity in the real world and the business world and all that, but we can argue, we can fight. We're not like that. But I'm sure you've seen these Hallmark Channel families that are just hyper positive in a fake way, in a cringe gay way. I'm sure you've seen these American families. And I still think they're more effective than family always keeping it real and being some sad fucking cunts. I think there's a good middle ground there. But yeah, there are souls you'll see in Walmart. You will pay attention next time you're in Walmart. You'll see an exhausted soul and you'll be like, oh, wait a minute. That's not them being, that's not these people forming lazy habits in this lifetime. It's nothing of how you've been told by modern Christians, Muslims, Jews, and all these fucking retards. It's much deeper than that. Where when you realize, oh shit, these guys are not lazy and sloth-like because of this incarnation. That doesn't make any sense. Like, you have three brothers born, and one of them's lazy, one of them is hyperactive, and one of them is super academic and smart. But explain that, right? That their genetics, it's like their genetics don't, you know, they're there, but they chose those genetics because of how they're karmically suited to live in the world. There's a lot of guys who choose fat ass incarnations because they really like incarnating for the food aspect. Even though they're evolving for other things, they love the food thing. There's incarnations that really love heroin, and so they choose that kind of soul world. That, hey, this is where they have the highest levels of temptation. They're in some broken down neighborhood, and this is where they can do the most evolution. But also, if they fall off the path, they get some heroin. So it's like a win-win. Although there's never a win to burning out your whole body with constant light. If you don't know what drugs are by now, in Atlantean times, you could change the structure, your alchemical structure with your, let's just call them superpowers. And that's what drug addicts are, is people who miss their spiritual side. So they want to change without any hard work, without any development in their soul and exact thinking. They want to just jump the gun and change that's why they do the Percocet thing, right? Percocet puts you into a state of spiritual development, very high level enlightenment development. If you've ever been into Percocets or any kind of downers, which are, by the way, these are the most dangerous kind of drugs, is downers. They are the most, fucking up your life with anything else is different. It's like you can see it. Downers are different in a aggressive way because they're so subtle. They're not aggressive. They're not like pop art. They are, if you've ever gone into Percocets, you've felt exactly what it's like to be an expert 7-year plus meditator. If you've ever meditated for 7 years and you've built up that muscle of meditation, it's identical to Percocet, except the meditator, it eases in, even though it reaches that point, identical point. And it doesn't mean that Percocets are less addictive to the meditator, even though the meditator is addicted to their peace and what they can how they can alchemically generate their inner world, change it, really shift it, right? But they can still fall. Something can happen to the meditator. They can still slip and fall. Some tragedy can happen in their life that they never talk to anyone in the world about. And then they go, my deeper meditations, I want to go even deeper in them, but with Percocet. And this has happened to many spiritual leaders who have slipped off the path. You can easily fall off from the top, by the way. But I'm painting you an image of what drug addicts are in the world, is people looking for high level spirituality really fast, and it's so fucking dark for them. The world is dark for them. Now, if they were trained us right, let's say every 5-year-old has to meditate for an hour a day in school, and it's a cultural thing. This is how, for thousands of years, they would train the highest level, the higher classes of society, let's say, even though the slaves would get this training too. But this is more like for much higher level families. Yeah, you're supposed to be fed by your own hard work. You're not supposed to be fed by, oh, I'm going to take something externally. Not that I'm against taking external things that aid in the process. I'm just against going into just the idea that a lot of human beings can bypass spiritual work, inner work, by taking a substance is terrifying. You've never seen it go right for any human on earth. It is so fucking subtle how you're going to start fucking your life up. But you have to understand, because if drug addicts understood, if any alcoholism, any whoever is trying to numb pain, if they understood what they're doing with their ego body, if they understood soul science, they'd be like, oh, what the fuck? There's a way stronger way to doing this thing. Now, I'm not saying they wouldn't fuck up, because a lot of these problems they have is like from childhood. It's like deep rooted issues. But you got to understand, when you see despair in the world, you're not seeing someone suffering because they don't have politics in their life. You're not seeing someone who is has a lack of art in their life, or you're seeing people away from spirit. Spirit is something you practice, right? Spirit is something you practice, and I'm telling you, 80 years is going to be rough. Going 80 years of your life not knowing yourself is going to be a terrifying incarnation for you, right? Some of the most badass people make a ton of money and stuff. They're always still worried. And I'm here to push society away from that. You overcome that there's no therapy. It's you versus you. It's time you started doing things correct. And it's really sad that the only schools of thought for this kind of teaching is extremely dreamy schools of faggotry, like just absolute rainbow flag. Just, if you don't know what I mean, if you think I'm being exaggerating, go into the YouTube and search up spirituality, whatever, podcast, what you will see what these meditators are like. The world has been taken over by these Luciferic dreamy types, these dreamers, and they're so pathetic. They teach everything the wrong way. They think they're doing something to the world, and there's no exact science to it. There's not, they can't even say they've been doing something for 7 years. They don't even say, I'm 31 years old, this is what I do. They don't have anything to stand on. They're 21-year-old podcasters making shit up, lying. They don't have a sense of science. They don't have the sense of anthroposophy. They don't have nothing. They're just making shit up. And you can tell they're lying because they keep talking. Dude, if you're going live 7 days a week and talking and talking and talking, you're a liar. If you're going live 7 days a week, you are lying to the world. You're trying to be interesting to gain views, but you're lying. You can't stop lying. Every word. You don't know what I mean? Tune into a Sneeko stream and you'll see someone who can never stop talking about something. He'll talk about things he doesn't even know about. He's not even aware. It's not even going to be hot in a week. It's going to be boring to him in a week, meaning he's not going to develop any concepts around what he's talking about. There's not going to be a symphony of thought. It's just going to be abstract comment, abstract comment, abstract comment. And I'm telling you right now, this buzz language shit, you already have this in your head. When you see it, you study a human right now. We go into a clairvoyant study. You go inward. You notice your thinking. Most human beings' thinking is just a stream of words. That's not actual thinking. That's dead. 99.9% of successful and poor people, both alike, have a stream of words in their head. The successful people have more positive words. The poor people have darker words. That's the only difference. But it's not real thinking. There is no imaginative process. It never turns alive. It never even sounds real. It might sound real in a 5-minute clip, but you watch 2 years of their content, let's say, and it's really watered down faggotry. That is a fucked up place to be in the world. That is you're in a drift, in a dream state, yapping about what you saw on TV 7 days a week. You don't know what you're doing, man. This is why in ancient times there was always a practice of not speaking for 2 years. There's always practices to healing all that lying you're doing. Whatever you're doing on the internet is adding to the problem. Everything you must master in the next 10 years has to do with unlearning, unfollowing, and deleting. Deleting. Galleries, photos, videos, everything. Unlearn, go to your base form, and you can build from your base form. And when you don't want to build, you can be your base form. You can actually generate strong being. When you have strong being, people find you out of nowhere. They say, get on my podcast. I don't even understand what you're saying, John, but I love your sense of being. There's something you're doing on earth that I need to interview you. Now, those are considered shortcuts in the world, even though that energy of being takes a long time to, I don't want to say the word master, but I'm top 1%, whatever it's called, male. So to you, it looks like mastery. But to me, I compare to all the young souls thousands of years ago. I compare myself to them. And I go, damn, this self remembering process has got to get stronger every day because there is nothing out there in Andrew Tate's incarnation. Like all the money in the world, and the guy did that with his skill set. Like, you're 40, dude. That should never have happened. There's a lot of horrible things that can happen out there. And you're going to notice none of them affect you except the ones that are a part of your inner world, what really matters to you. You're going to notice that everything Sneeko talks about it doesn't even matter to him. It's just A trend that's going to it's going to fade in 4 days, 3 days. Study human beings and the trends they're on. Study your friends, study what you watch, and you will, for it's the terror of the situation. Every month I ask myself, every week I ask myself, am I more Zherka or less Zherka? You know, when people say, oh, I love the version of the Zherka that did this, I love the, what they're really saying is you're still unfolding for the next fucking however long you're on Earth. Are we going to get deeper, deeper layers? And the sad part is if you waste it on just content, a lot of people do that, right? Gideon's been on YouTube for like 9 years. Dude, you're catching pedos, humiliating them for a living. You're about to have a mental breakdown. I guarantee you that guy will have a mental breakdown because this low level searching for spirit is not tolerated by your soul. And by spirit, I mean so much deeper than just the Christian mysteries. It's so much deeper than that. When we add awareness to spirit, that to be the observer, you don't know how life is just drifting by. And by the time you catch it, you're going to be like, wait a minute, I caught it after switching 50 more bodies. That's really stupid. There's people self-remembering at a young age saying, no, wait a minute. It's not about the money. It's not about this. It's not about that stuff's all going to be there for the winner anyway. It's there right now. There's, the wheel's just going to get nicer? It's about unfolding your soul, dude. Joe Rogan has never talked like this on a podcast. That's probably why I have nothing to say. I don't want to insult Joe Rogan. I like Joe. There's something about Joe that doesn't seem like he's a bad guy. But I want to end it here.